All right, we are live. You're on the first episode of the Music My Mates Make podcast, episode number 1. We are just getting things worked out. I announced that this is happening, and I had a bunch of beautiful friends hit me up and say, yeah, I'm keen. I would love to have a chat, Das. First off the ranks is my mate Alexis Naylor. We met a few years back, maybe at the jam session, I think, in Alice Springs. She was touring around in her van, based in Western Australia, and is my debut guest on the show. Alexis Naylor, how are you today?
I am very well. Thank you so much. So nice to see you and hear your voice.
That is one great thing, is I get to catch up with my long-lost friends who are scattered around the country and around the world, and I think it's just a perfect opportunity to just have a bit of a catch-up. So how you been recently? You just dropped a new single. You've been working really hard. What have you been up to?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, it feels like in some ways that I haven't been working hard because I got diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome at the start of the year. So music's sort of taken a bit of a backseat, or a lot of a backseat, for this year. But where I can, I've been doing a bit of work, and I've just released a song called Long Lost Letter, which, lucky enough for me, I recorded all of the piano lines, and we had a string quartet from Perth Symphony Orchestra that came in and did some work, which we did all last year before I was diagnosed. So, it's a bittersweet thing listening to a recording of you playing an instrument that you can't play at the moment. It's weird.
I've just had experience getting a string quartet for a production that I'm working on too. How did you go about arranging that and getting those people in the room? Because it's a lot of work to get right.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel very grateful for my community. So I have a beautiful friend, Sam Timmerman, who has a phenomenal mind for writing arrangements. And he was just like chewing at the bit when I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. And he was just like, can I write it? I want to do it. And I was like, yep, beautiful. So while he was at it, we did a couple of singles. He came into the studio that day and helped, facilitate it with the girls. And lucky for me, I have seen and played alongside some of these girls on live shows, and also they play for friends of mine around Perth, and they're very talented human beings, so very lucky.
I love that, and I love especially getting people who are particularly passionate about a certain thing to do that thing. I feel like everybody has their kind of niche interest which they could do for days and never get tired or burnt out from it, and then it's like working out what that is for you, and then working out what that is for other people, so that it can be just like a nice, healthy collaboration. Nobody's breaking their back, and everyone should be able to do their little piece and enjoy that part of the puzzle, I feel.
Oh, it's so exhilarating to watch someone else be so passionate about a thing, because you're like, well, for me, string arrangements are not my forte, Playing around in Sibelius is not my forte. I did it at uni because I had to. But apart from that, it's not my favourite, thing to play with, to create, art. But to watch someone else and their mind, Sam's just phenomenal. He can hear and see it all before he's even, he has the ideas. It's, pretty special. And, I don't know. It's just nice to have a group of people that are part of the process.
Definitely. And I've seen people who can just get out a piece of paper and write a score from what's going on in their mind. I prefer to use the canvas of something that I can use MIDI instruments, but some people really hear things on that level, and some people are just working on these counterpoint levels with a lot of complexity and detail. So it's turned out really well. It's a beautiful track. We're going to feature it later on in the show. When I met you, you were touring around the country of Australia. How many places have you been around? You were really a great example of a DIY, get out there in the van and book your own tour. How does that go? How does that go down, and where have you been?
Oh my goodness. It's such a funny turn of events of how I met you, because obviously COVID happened. So, for most people who had, work booked, that disintegrated into nothing. So I had an album released called Pages from a Past Life, had a full tour all around Australia booked for 2020. That didn't go ahead. And so I rebooked, but, venues were too scared and things like that. So only half of the tour, got booked in 2021. And, I wasn't meant to come to Alice Springs until December. But I ended up getting there in like August because Queensland closed their borders, New South Wales closed their borders, Victoria did the same. So me coming to Alice Springs was like, I'll come for a week or two, see what's happening, and then scoot over to the eastern states. And then a couple of weeks turned into a month, turned into 2 months, turned into, I don't know, just seemed to have got, and it's so bittersweet because in one way I kept being told by my manager at the time from Westwood Management, like, this has happened, you can't get into Queensland, have to cancel this leg. Okay, this has happened, can't get into New South Wales. This has happened in Victoria. And then, I had scares in Tassie, and then one of the venues burnt down, and like it just felt like every step of the way there was just like another thing. But the bittersweet part was there was such a beautiful community of artistry that was happening right in front of me in Alice Springs. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't change that for quids. Like the people that I met, like yourself, and just, it was just a little bubble in time of, there was so many lively people and some amazing work happening. And I don't know, I got to, witness so much. It was so good. So good.
Yeah, there was definitely some benefits of it. And I always make this joke about Alice Springs, where I'm based, is that we had no trouble really with quarantine because we've kind of been in quarantine since forever. We've been isolated for a long time, which was probably why we were one of the last places to stay open, or we didn't really shut down. Although I think that moment in time was a really good kind of moment to reflect. My mum called it that civilization had been put in the naughty corner for doing too much wrong, too many wrong things. But that was the time that I really dug in with, when things did close down, dug in with songwriting and just had the guitar out, and it was like a nice moment to that, a nice pause to things. And yeah, we don't really know how life is going to unfold, and sometimes there's flow behind something and it really feels like that's meant to happen. It's got like a good energy behind it. And then sometimes it's just, no matter how much you chip away at it earnestly, nothing can come through. So I think it's just, I don't know, I believe in the universe. Sometimes things that if they don't happen, they don't happen. But you arrived here and now you have a special connection with Alice, and we love you here.
Oh my goodness,
I was
it's a
talking
home
to
away
you
from
around
home.
that time about, it's a beautiful spot, and people don't know why we hang out here unless they've been here. It's the old saying, you never know if you never go. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about, when we were catching up back then, about having that balance between having a job, maybe, which could be outside of music, which can be maybe simple enough where it's not going to take up too much mental energy, or you're not going to bring it home with you too much. It's more like the time that you work is the time that you work, and the time that you make music is the time that you make music. Do you have a schedule for that on a day-to-day basis? Because it seems like you're pretty on top of your music business. How does a week schedule look for the life of Alexis Naylor, the artist? And I guess you self-managed, or do you have somebody help you with those type of things?
Yeah, so, there's two parts to that. So the music side of things, I did have management. I'm now self-managed again, and that's, no bad blood there. It's just, it's how the cookie crumbles, and the push-pull of this industry, and all of us have got multiple, strings in our bow where we're all trying to do different things. So yeah, so that part is, I think I've got somewhat of a formula, which I mean we're forever evolving, but some kind of process when it comes to my music business. But in regards to work, I have tried to do everything within music. So, like a lot of musicians do, you do the corporate side of things, and I always think of that analogy of like the pie and like the three sort of sectors. It's like it's either monetary, or it feeds your soul, or it is good for promotion, like it's good for networking and like that kind of thing. For a lot of the time I did try and do the corporate side to do the money side in music, and I just felt like I was depleted, and I didn't have anything left in the cup to add to my own creative projects. So I found that the journey for me is that I have a corporate job that I work remotely. I get up at 5 a.m, smash that out. And then I have capacity, even if I'm exhausted, I still have capacity to turn that laptop off, and turn the other one on and start doing music and have capacity for rehearsals and shows. I think it's a difficult thing as you compare yourself to others, and there are so many phenomenal artists out there that are able to get a great income by hustling within the industry. And maybe you think that you're less, or I know for a little while there, I felt that I was less because I could not keep the momentum up with my own projects and working as a wedding singer or, doing parties or whatever. But as my journey's progressed, thank goodness, I've found others that are the same as me that have a quote unquote day job, and for them, they can put everything into their creative projects that they feel it's like filling their cup in that way. So thank goodness, because otherwise I thought there's something wrong with me.